Now this concept, this is a mask, and its intent is to be worn, as I mentioned in the first video, when it was greenware and we could not pick it up. It is the hand of God reaching into the living waters and pulling up the faith. That's as simple as that. But imagine that in a chaise longue. But I'm going to start on this, and what I've done, and anybody in here who does any kind of freehand sculpture knows what this is. We have, you know, your sgraffito here, and these areas, I sand these, I build them, I render carefully, and I sand them. I'm not trying to get all kinds of surface activity except maybe the drawing of the detail. These lines give me an opportunity to take my color into pits and valleys and to use those transitions as ways of enriching the properties of these glazes. So I'm going to start, and since I'm looking at this, now this is, I'm telling you here, I have so many glazes, the only thing I had a choice to do was to go pick out colors with the names that I liked. In other words, I want greens. So I'm going to start here with Kiwi Light, and this is not an advertisement, so we'll pretend it's not an advertisement. But what I want you to do is just know that Kiwi Light is the only information you're going to have about what color this is, except that maybe it is reflected in how it looks in the glaze jar, but all of you who are ceramists know full well that it's still alive until it comes out of the firing. So, but I have found that if I take something like this and I move it into a line, so I'm going to just kind of start right away here doing line work, and this is why this won't be going all that fast. We'll get somewhere, but we won't get all the way there. And it's really watery, but we can manage that up here. And that I've got two solutions. Yes. And what happens is, for me, this is the only thing I can characterize this is playing a step organ. And I don't know how many of you have ever done that. I've never done that. I've watched other people do it and decided piano was over my head. The step organ left me a long time ago. Because what happens here is if I'm starting here, I think I'm going to start up here. Okay, so I'm starting here. Okay, now I've just got to do this. Now this is where repetition comes in. Now, for those of you who are meditators, this is the perfect exercise for insanity. This can take you forever. And while it's taking you forever, you are having the best dadgum time. Now I know the jar said 3 coats, but after 2, it doesn't feel quite right. Who's in charge? The artist. The artist is in charge. So that's where all the lessons in the world from Duncan and Mako and those folks won't help you unless you have already informed your art guy that he's free to deviate here. You just have to know your chemistry. So you keep in mind, now what I'm using here is a semi-opaque, opaque gloss. Opaque gloss means that it's a liquid, a fluid glaze. It's viscous, it has a lot of silica. We're going to have a really glossy surface. So as I'm filling up these lines here, I've got something that in essence is going to liquefy. Unlike your dry glazes, that in fact they do solidify and liquefy to a degree, but they may stay just at the powdery stage. In other words, there won't be a flow. And that's a texture glaze. But right here, I've got something that's going to work for me like watercolor. Once you get there, if you feel like tying yourself to the wall, go ahead. But I wouldn't recommend it. Be willing to make some adjustments, like right here, what I've done. And I can describe this to you so you'll see. Get a vision, and then we will complete the vision. Okay, what I have here is now we can start to see image, which is going to help us. We're not just looking at a white thing she's rubbing on over here. And I've got these red lines set in here. That means I have recesses here, and I have pretty much filled them, but they will be full. So that means I will get a certain anticipated next to next overflow. The heat will melt those glazes into each other, sort of. I have found that when red melts into something like maybe this silver I'm going to put on here, it will leave a little white outline against the black or something. It's odd, you know. So again, these are the magic things you come up with. These are the as I see it, ceramics is the only man-made semi-precious stone. And if you just turn that other part over that is a surprise element, like you know, in a tiger eye stone, something that just is it becomes the nature of the beast after you have let the beast live, then it will start to tell you, and you cannot duplicate it. So with that, if you can settle with that you can and cannot, you know, then you can hit it every time, because it will come back with its own established aesthetic.